everybody, this is your boy Black Magus, and I don't do award things, and I guess you could say this isn't an award thing. This is basically the top 5 games that were released in 2014 that I enjoyed the most. So that's why I wore the tuxedo shirt right here, so I can get all spiffy and talk about those things with you guys. Probably should put my glasses on too, so I can look, you know, kind of, yeah, serious about this, even though the glare is gonna fucking kill me with this goddamn lamp. Gotta take that off. Yeah, okay. And the pile of clothes, don't mind. I just threw my shit on the bed as soon as I got in the house from being out all day. Anyway, so without further ado, let's talk about the 5 games that I enjoyed the most. And I'm gonna go from I guess you could say 5 to 1, although I will say this about all of these games. Even though I'm going to rank them, by no means am I saying that I enjoyed one probably less than the other. Let me see. Basic way to say this, and I have something in my eye, so forgive me. My eyelashes always do that. Jeez. Such an unprofessional video right now. But anyway, you know, I rank them as far as not necessarily which I spent the most time with, but I guess the ones that made a bigger impact on me. I enjoyed them all tremendously, but I think the order that I have them in shows which ones had the biggest impression on me overall, not just from my enjoyment, but from my personal opinion of the title as well, as far as the aesthetics, you know, gameplay, story, things like that. You know, it's basically on how much they moved me, more than just, you know, a standard. This game is better because it does this right, this is wrong, blah blah blah. It's more of how much these games impact me. So without further ado, without wasting any more time, let's start off with my number 5 game, which is something that's going to piss a lot of you guys off. I'm sorry. I actually do really enjoy this game, but that game is Destiny. I really enjoy playing Destiny. I used to play MMOs back in the day, so I'm sure that's part of the charm that Destiny has for me. You know, I was one of the first people to play Ultima Online. I beta tested Microsoft's MMO. A lot of people don't realize Microsoft actually did have their own MMO back in the day called Insurance Call. It may still be around because MMOs tend not to die. I've did a trial of EverQuest, you know, stuff like that. I played DC Universe Online, and while I haven't played it yet, I still do have an interest in Star Wars Old Republic. Someone, it's funny because someone in the comments put in one of my videos, asked me if I would play a game called I think it's called Elite Dangerous. I haven't really heard of it. I'm going to answer this question directly too, but I'm answering it here too. I haven't really heard of it, looked into it. It seems to be like a space simulator type trading MMO. From what I read about it, it reminds me of EVE Online a little bit. I'm not sure if it's as hardcore as EVE Online. I will ask this person and find out from them. And, you know, I'm not averse to trying it because I do have an appreciation for the MMO style of things. One of the reasons why I don't play them consistently is because I know how much time they absorb from you, and that's Destiny. You know, Destiny absorbs a lot of time. Is it a, like, you know, perfect game? By no means, no. It came through with a lot of fanfare. A lot of people were expecting a lot of different things from it. Bungie never really explained what it was to people, and so a lot of people got it fixed in their minds of what this game was going to be, and it turned out being an MMO light with FPS qualities, and that kind of put a lot of people off. But for me, you know, I thought the shooting mechanic, I know a lot of people get mad when you say that, like, well, the shooting mechanics are good, but you know what? As a shooter, mechanically, it is sound. I mean, these guys did make Bungie, and not Bungie, sorry, Bungie is the company. Bungie made Halo, and Halo is, you know, a mechanically sound shooter. It's always been that way, so it's not a surprise in that aspect. It's fun to play with friends. I spend a lot of hours with people I know, just, you know, fooling around, doing the same thing. Yes, it's very repetitive. It's not a whole lot of content in it. The DLC didn't add a ton of content. It added some new stuff, but it didn't, like, you know, expand the game tremendously. But you know what? It's fun to get involved with other people, especially people that you know, going through these strikes, going through the raids, you know, doing different things, the grinding. The Crucible, I actually really do like. I was surprised that I got into the Crucible the way I did, but I'm a big fan of the Crucible, Control especially. You know, it brought me a lot of enjoyment, and, you know, it brought me a lot of fun. It's still going to bring me a lot of fun. I probably will be playing it today. I mean, it's probably the game that I could say that I play the most on a weekly basis. And to me, you know, that warrants it being on my list as top 5 for the games that I enjoyed most this year. Because if I didn't enjoy it, why am I still playing it? You know what I mean? So that's number 5. Number 4, and this could have been higher, but impact-wise, it didn't move me as the other games did, I think. One of the games will be two of the games are actually kind of a surprise for a lot of you guys. But number 4 is Middle-earth: Shadows of Mordor. I thought that what it did, I mean, let's be honest with this, and, you know, again, is this a perfect game? By no means, no. It's a third person open world adventure game set in the Lord of the Rings universe. It dabbles in a couple of different games. It has some qualities of Assassin's Creed as far as stealth and things like that. Although I will say this, I really do feel like they've improved on the stealth mechanics and the stealth, you know, gameplay of Assassin's Creed, which, you know, is another reason why this is up here, because it did some things. While it took from other games, it improved in some areas on those games. The combat's basically the Arkham series. If you've ever played Arkham City or Arkham Asylum, you know what I'm talking about. It's like a heavy counter influence combat system that works really, really well with the little tweaks in it. You know, there's different things that you can do in the combat that are really, really nice, and it's very fluid, and it's actually very smoothly translated into the sword play style, because you're basically battling with swords, whereas Batman is mostly battling with his fists and occasional weapons. But this right here, it's beautiful. The way that it transitions, the way the moves and the combat, it flows phenomenally. But those aren't the things that make this game. The things that make this game and made it have such a big impact on me this year is the Nemesis system. That Nemesis system is ridiculous. If you don't know what the Nemesis system is, basically, best way I could break it down to you guys is that the world is progressively moving as, you know, time goes on. Nothing necessarily sits completely still. So you can run into different things going on, such as, you know, you'll run up on the orcs having a fight among themselves. You know, they'll have strife between themselves and things like that, a power struggle in their ranks. You'll see creatures running around the world that'll interact with them and start pig fights. But where the Nemesis system really shines is when you die. This is a game that makes your death truly matter, and it makes the death of your enemies as well truly matter, because once you kill a captain or a lower level, you know, boss in the game, the deck starts to shuffle. The power struggle within the hierarchy of your enemy starts to change. If I kill like this bottom tier person, he's gone, but there may be someone else who is looking at his job that might jump up. While that person's jumping up to take his spot, there's another person who might vie for that spot, so they might fight at it, or that person might just smoothly transition over. But while their whole that whole part of the tier is shuffling, higher up, someone might decide, you know what, I want to be the captain. I want to be the head of this particular hierarchy. So I'm gonna go after the boss of our, like, subdivision. And so they'll jump up and they'll try to fight. If they win, they take that spot, leaving another opening for somebody else to either jump up or for two other people right below, below them to go at it, or they might challenge somebody above them. You never know. It's a weird. You never get the same outcome from death. Death of bosses or your death will never leave the world the same. Everything will shuffle. So if you die from a lower level boss, you know what? That guy gets promoted. He'll get put up into a higher slot if it's open, or he'll gain in his stature and his power and his influence and decide, you know what? I'm big and bad enough to take the guy out above me. So I'm gonna take him out, and then he takes him out. He takes that spot, and then somebody else from the lower rank shuffle up. It's really dynamic. It's really crazy. It makes for a challenging system because you don't know who you're going to go at any time when you need to go through these ranks of these bosses. Because while this boss may have certain attributes and certain fears, there's fears that you have to worry about with them too. Like some boss might be scared of a certain particular beast. So if you can find that beast in the area, you can take that beast in that area, and that'll make him more fearful and easier to beat. On the other hand, hitting him with arrows might piss him the fuck off, and he just gets extremely enraged in battle and becomes stronger. So you have to be careful of how you attack him and things like that. It's a whole complex strategical system that adds something to open world adventure games that I don't think we've ever seen. It makes the combat actually much more valuable than just finding a target, taking it out. What you do in the world really matters. And that's why I think this game has made such an impact on me. It's not higher because the game above it, for one, had a stronger impact on me, and that was story-wise. That game, number 3, being Wolf Among Us. Wolf Among Us, I've read the comic books. It's based on the comic book Fables, which is basically about fairy tale characters who had to move on to planet Earth because their worlds were attacked by a power that eventually, I'm not going to go into it, but a power that they had to face over the years that just basically ransacked their planets and caused them to move to Earth and to resettle and start a life hidden amongst, mankind. So, it's a prequel, and I know a lot of people probably have knocked it because they think that it had broken some story elements. Me personally, I think it actually fleshed out a lot of stuff in the universe, at least for me, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's up here, because it was able to come in as a prequel to an already established property and tell a really good story within the confines that it was given, and to also in little ways impact that already established world by giving, at least for me, it gave me some explanation and understanding of relationships and dynamics that occur in the comic series. So I thought that was really, really cool. The story was great. It was a great mystery. If you like Telltale games, you'll fall in love with it because it's the same Walking Dead style of play that a lot of us fell in love with who like Telltale games. But it's in some ways to me done better than Walking Dead, partially because of the characters and the content and the interactions. It's a lot different interactions. The combat with the main character, Bigby the Wolf, I thought was great. The different situations they put him in were great. It had really suspenseful, action-packed moments in there. Really thoughtful choices that you had to make that made impact. The interactions between all the characters, it helped. It helped you understand some of the relationships that go on in the comic book and where some of these people came from and why people are here and there. It did a very good job of taking an established universe and building its own story that fit within it, in my opinion. And I loved it. Loved the ending. 5 parts. Please, if you got the $20, it's probably on sale now for cheaper. Please get it for Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS3, PS4. I believe it's coming to the PS Vita, and it's on PC. If you got any of those platforms and you're looking for a really good story that's going to be entertaining and it's going to have some great moments in it, get The Wolf Among Us. You'll enjoy it. You will enjoy that game. Now, my number ones and number twos are going to be surprised, but they, they're my number ones and number twos. So don't, judge me. This is what I felt like, I enjoyed the most. Number two being MLB 14, the show. I get great enjoyment out of that sports game. You're like, well, why is a yearly sports title on there? MLB has year in, year out done things to improve on their formula and make themselves, better, in my opinion. And this one right here, I think they've started to hit like that stride where, how a lot of sports titles, as they're going along, they're doing well, they're doing some things right, they're doing some things wrong, but it's always a moment in time where you feel like, you know what, this is where they're on their upswing. I feel like MLB 14 is the upswing moment for that series. The decision to do things like for regular games, if you want to just play regular season games with the established team, they gave you the option to basically bring down the length of time by choosing the situations in which you want to play. They have this new system for batting where you only come up to bat in key count situations. So instead of just playing from an 0-0 count through and having to go through the whole progression of trying to manipulate the count, it'll be like, okay, you just want to go in and just play and go from there. We're going to put you in situations. So sometimes you'll be putting a 3-1 count, sometimes you'll be putting a 1-2 count, a 1-1, 2-2. They'll get you in a point in the at bat where you feel like it's coming to a resolution, so you don't have to play through the chess game that is baseball. If you're one of those people who don't enjoy the chess game elements of baseball and just want to get straight to the point and go for that home run or whatever, you don't have to play fielding if you don't want to. They'll let you turn that off. They give you a lot of control over how you play the game, especially in the road to the show, which is my favorite part of the game, where you create your own player and you go through. You're again able to decide, do I want to do the fielding elements of this? Do I want to just do the hitting? Do I want to do the base running? Do I not want to do that stuff? You can pick and choose to where, like for me, I just do fielding and I just do hitting. I'm not good with the base running mechanics. That's the one knock I would say on the game for me, to be quite honest. So I turn off the base running. I let once I'll run up until I'm on base and I've established my position on base. But once I'm on base, I let the computer take care of the what I'm gonna do as far as scoring off of base and stuff like that, steals, what have you. I enjoy the hitting, full counts, going from 0 to whatever the end result's going to be. I think they do a good job of translating that chess game between pitcher and batter. You really have to have a good eye, in my opinion, and that adds realism to the elements. The fielding is pretty sound. There are occasional glitches I have with the fielding, but for the most part, fielding is sound. They put you in a position where you're only playing once the ball is hitting play. So you don't have to stand in the field and wait for the count to get to where something happens. And it's always going to be a play where you have a chance to be involved. You don't have to sit idle and watch other plays for the most part. There are occasions where you're in a position that you can make a play, but someone else might make a play. But there's always the chance that something could happen that involves you in the play. So they don't just make you play in the field, randomly for no reason. It all makes sense. The way that however you scheme it to play, it all makes sense. If you want to be there for every moment, every pitch, every at bat, what have you, you can do that. But if you want to truncate it like I do, you can do that. I'm able to get through most games in 15 or less minutes, which is cool. And I'm able to put in a lot of work. And the progression is very satisfying. You can start out on a team if you want, or you can take your chances. You can start out on a particular team's farm system, or you can just go all the way and start out, play a couple of like rookie games, build up your draft position, get drafted by a team, and then go from there, like what I did. And it goes very fast, but at a realistic pace. You have realistic moments. It's very cool. It's a very cool game, and for me, the reason I feel like it's number 2 on my list because it has set itself to, in my opinion, as a standard bearer for how sports games should be done. Now they're gonna have a feature coming next year, which they announced this year. Once you're done with MLB 14 and you want to move on to MLB 15, you don't have to worry about restarting everything. You can take your save data, move it over to MLB 15, and continue your story. And to me, that's a great thing because now I feel like all the work I put into my player really, really means something. And this is why I say I think they've hit a point now where they're about to go on a huge upswing, because with that announcement, with the improvements that they've made to the game, and I'm sure with improvements that are going to come on top of that, MLB 14 right now I think is establishing itself as the best sports franchise. It's not completely there, but I wouldn't be surprised if next year it takes that crown. And that's why it's my number 2, because of what it's done and its potential. They both have a huge impact and draw to me, and I really do enjoy the gameplay. But now we're gonna go to my number 1 game, and it's a game that a lot of you probably haven't played because a lot of you have issues with indies. I know for the most part with this year, people have complained about the lack of depth in games. I beg to differ, especially since I play indies. I played a lot of great experience in indies. If I were to expand this list to a top 10, top 15, top 20, there'd be so many other games. I could think of just a couple right now, like Child of Light would probably be on there. Stick It to the Man. What's the name of that game where you survive? I cannot think of it right now, but there's a few indie games that came out. Secret Ponchos is one I can think of that's really, really cool. That would be on that list. The list would have quite a few indies on it, because these are good games. They're really good games. They're solidly made. A lot of times better made than the AAAs. And, a lot of us have sat here and complained and fussed about the quality of games because we've only looked at it from a AAA standpoint. And that's pretty bad, because you're missing out on a lot of great things. And I think my number 1 is one of those games where people truly missed out on a great experience. And that game is Transistor. Transistor, it's kind of hard to explain it. Basically, you wake up where you're in a world that's falling apart. Someone close to you is dying, and he gets basically his essence, I guess you could say, gets infused into the sword that you're carrying around, and he helps you go around the world trying to, I guess you're trying to get out and ascend, I guess, from the world, escape the world with him. You're going and you're fighting different bosses that are imbued with, some of them imbued with the essence of people who fell in the world, and they drop powers off for you to pick up. You find powers that are based on different people, and it has a deep how could I say this? When you look at your powers, it gives you a good sense of history of who that person is, their personality, and it kind of helps to construct the mood, the sense of what the power is. And each power that you equip to your attacks, they can all be linked together, or they can be done separate, and they have different. It has a huge meta game in it that's really fun to figure out, how am I going to go about combating these enemies. I could use this in combination with this to get here, things like that. It's very clever in that way. The gameplay sound, it lets you switch between live action and kind of a stop time, real time strategy type of thing, where you can pick your moves in advance and then execute them, and then when you come out, your timer builds back up. You can execute again, or you can just go straight up if you want to in real time. It's very clever. The music is phenomenal. The atmosphere, the music helps make the atmosphere, but the look of the game is great. It has great personality. It's just solid gameplay. I mean, it's just fun. Supergiant Games, the makers of Bastion. If you had Xbox 360, you know what Bastion is. It was exclusive on there. That was a great game. This right here is definitely a good successor. It's not a sequel, but it's a good successor from Supergiant Games for Bastion, because it does a phenomenal job of, you know, conveying a cool experience. It may not be the tightest story in the world, but the overall experience is so engaging that you kind of don't even care that you may not understand everything about the story, because it somehow gives this connection that you get really engrossed in and you enjoy it. I mean, again, going back to the music is perfect. Each song that they play at different parts fits the mood of the action, the mood of the situation. It's really, really cool. That final boss battle, that was fire. I love that boss battle. It's a great game. It's a really great game, and it's a very underrated game. And I kind of wish it would have ended up on a lot of Game of the Year lists. But you know, gamers are for the most part traditionalists. You know, and even gaming media for the most part are traditionalists. So, you know, while they'll jump out now and then and they'll give a game like Journey or The Walking Dead Season 1 some love, they'll stick to their, you know, Dragon Age Inquisitions, their Far Cry 4s, and what have you most of the time. But Transistor is definitely a great game. If you have a PS4, PS3, or a PC, I'm pretty sure it's going to come to the Xbox platform soon. But if you have one of those three right now, get it. It was $20 at release. It's probably cheaper now. Steam probably has it on sale. Pick up Transistor, play it. You'll enjoy the experience. If you're an open-minded gamer who plays a lot of different games, Transistor is a game for you, because it's a great experience. It's a really great experience. But okay, so I have now given you guys my top 5 for the year. So you guys go ahead and tell me what your top 5 gaming experiences were for the year, or your top 5 games, however you want to play it. You know, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, and as always, I'll holler at you later. It's your boy Black Makers, and I'm out, y'all. Deuces.